Hi everybody, my name is Simone and today I would like to share with you my story of how Saint Germain found me. I quit my job a couple of years ago because I didn't feel fulfilled anymore. I did no longer feel like I was in the right place. I felt like I was looking for something, but I didn't know what I was looking for. I felt like I didn't move towards my life's purpose, but actually away from it. So I knew I had to make changes, drastic changes in my life. And I did by quitting my job. And I didn't have an idea about what I was going to do. And I just started doing things that I liked, that I was interested in. So I started reading about nutrition, about health. I started meditating. I started doing yoga. I started all of these things that I had never done before. And I started also reading books which I would have never read before. And just to give you a little bit background, I grew up in a very religious family and I went to church a couple of times per week. I was very serious about my faith. I was praying. I believed in God and it was just, actually it was the most important thing in my life and it still is. But I didn't feel fulfilled anymore. I felt like my soul was craving for more. And I remember exactly 2 years ago on May 28th, 2018, I was in Sydney, Australia. And I came back from a grocery shopping trip and I saw the words "Happy Day" on a house. Immediately I had to think of the gospel. Oh, happy day, which I knew from a movie called Sister Act. So I decided to watch that movie the same day. And when the closing credits were shown, my eyes got stuck on the name Germain. And I remember thinking, Germain, what a weird name, that almost sounds like German, and I'm German. I went back to keep working on my laptop and I finished reading an article that I had started before watching the movie, and there it said, Violet Ray resonates with Archangel Zadkiel and Saint Germain. What? Seriously? I just had read this name on the TV screen, like minutes ago. At that point, I just knew I had to look into it. I had to look who this Saint Germain was. So I did. I Googled him on my phone and I read about him. But I couldn't find anything special about him except that he is an ascended master. And I had read about such cosmic beings before. And in case you don't know what an ascended master is, it is somebody that once embodied on Earth and mastered life up until the point where he no longer has to reincarnate. Basically a saint who has gone to higher heavenly realms. I set my phone aside and I kept working on my laptop. And after a couple of minutes I had to glance at my unlocked phone screen. And I read the sentence, book claimed by Guy Ballard to have been dictated to him by Saint Germain. At that moment it just hit me, and I knew I had to read this book. It is called Unveiled Mysteries, and Guy Ballard wrote it using the pen name Godfrey Ray King. He writes about his experiences in the 1930s when he met Saint Germain. And it is incredible because he starts the book with going on a hike. And there in the middle of nowhere, all of a sudden this man is standing in front of him. And, he writes down what he's thinking at that moment. And Saint Germain, who's the man standing across from him, actually responds to his thoughts. He answers Guy's questions that he has in his mind. The book is just incredible. It brings you into another world. Saint Germain shows Guy that it is possible to read thoughts, that it is possible to levitate, it is possible to time travel, and he actually takes him to a time like thousands and thousands of years ago, to ancient civilizations, and he shows him all the things that we human beings would consider impossible. When I read this book, a part of my soul was just mesmerized. I knew that everything was the truth written in this book. And from that day on, everything changed. My life was put upside down in a good way. And Saint Germain just showed me so many things that I always thought were never possible. I feel differently. I think differently. My whole world view has changed. And I just felt like I had to share this story with you. Because maybe you are at the point in your life as well where you feel stuck, where you feel like there is something missing in your life, where you feel like there is spirituality missing in your life, or you have the perfect life, you have everything you could imagine to have, but you are not happy. Something is missing. My recommendation to you is read this book and start your journey. Start questioning, start asking, start speaking to God, and start just opening up, basically. I would love to hear your comments, questions, or feedback below the video. Thank you so much for listening and have a glorious day.